Hi, it's Debbie from Open Mind Tarot back with another reading for you, and it is the 22nd of February 2020, and it's a new moon in Pisces around this time. And today I'm going to be using the Witch's Tarot again, just to see what the energies of the new moon have in store for us. So I'm just going to give them a shuffle. So bear with me. I do have my son here in the house. I have shut his bedroom door, so hopefully you won't hear him. Hope everybody's well. It's been half term here in the UK, so it's been a holiday from school for a week. Not the best weather but it's been a nice break. I hope you've all enjoyed your week off if you're in the UK. So just giving these cards a shuffle and see what the messages are. So Divine Source, Angel Spirit. This is a general reading, so take what resonates with you. Sorry, too many cards have fallen there. And leave what doesn't. Hopefully there's something that you can take away from the reading. So obviously they won't always resonate with everybody, but there will be often something that you can take away. Obviously it's a general reading, so it's for the collective, so it's not specific. Right, first card there, what have we got? I should have my glasses on actually. It's the Seven of Swords. There you go. Seven of Swords. I'm just going to keep pulling a couple more cards before we go through them individually. So what else do we need to know? I think we had the Seven of Swords recently. Oh, there's another one. What have we got? I've got the Two of Wands there. Two of Wands. And we'll have another card. What else do we need to know? For the collective for this new moon in Pisces, what are the energies that we need to be aware of, so that we can use them for our highest good? What else do we need to know? Just waiting for a card to fall. What else do we need to know? Like the Seven of Swords and the Two of Wands. What else do we need to know? For our highest good and the highest, greatest good of all. There we go. That's it there. And it's the King of Cups. Okie doke. And let's just have a look at what's on the bottom of the deck. Oh, the moon. There you go. It's an unusual moon card, that. Actually reminds me of the Hermit, if I've just seen that picture, which is all about kind of going within and kind of being guided by your inner light and your internal compass rather than the external. But to be honest, that is similar energies to the moon, so there's a lot of darkness there, and she's carrying her light there, because obviously the moon is a luminary. It does sort of bring light, but it's a lot of shadow as well, so it's kind of like about more feeling your way through the energies in an internal sense. So feeling your way through what's going on in a in a heart sense rather than a head sense. So it's relying on your internal compass, on your feels rather than what you can see around you. The moon can be a kind of it's a Neptunian energy, so it can be kind of like not false but a bit illusionary. So not able to kind of totally trust what you see in front of you. So if you think of like a dark night, you can kind of get thrown by sort of images that you can see that can appear to be one thing, but then if you saw them in the daylight, there might be something completely different. So it's about not always being able to trust what you see on the outer sort of world. It's about having to kind of feel your way through rather than actually see. So it's about shadows, you know. So obviously everybody has a shadow side, so it might be a case of sort of looking at the elements of yourself that you don't necessarily always want to look at. Obviously everybody has like an outward persona, the face that you put on, you know, not necessarily in a purposeful sense. It's just how we are as humans, isn't it? We have a kind of outward sort of appearance, but then everybody's got things that they might not want to share about themselves, kind of hidden inner things, aspects of your personality that, you know, it might be something that you're not particularly proud of. The shadow side of yourself. So that's the moon there, and that's the overall energy. So we'll just have a look at the other cards there. So although she's feeling her way through, she is dressed in black there, so she is protected. Although she can't really sort of see everything, she is protected because she's got a light in her hand there. So it's about her inner light, and your inner compass. So let's just have a look at the other cards. The first card that we've got there that came out is the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is, it's a bit like not being totally honest with yourself. So I suppose that fits with the moon as well, because there's sometimes aspects of yourself that you don't really want to look at. There's a little bit of a glow on those cards. I've got a candle going. So there might be aspects of yourself that you would rather hide, because there's this guy here. He's kind of he's coming away from the battlefield. I don't know if you can see, and he's sort of sneaking away with swords. He's got his bag filled with swords, so he's been kind of taking people's swords, which can be the ideas, the thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Swords are all about your ideas, your thoughts, your mental sort of capacity. So, you know, all of the head stuff. So what you put out verbally, your intellect. So he's looking quite smug with himself there, like, so he's feeling kind of, yeah, I'm all right, I've got away with it kind of thing. And obviously we don't know what's gone on in this card, but that's generally the energy of that card anyway, that it's about trying to sort of get away with something. And it can often be just sort of like kidding yourself, really, not being entirely honest with yourself. So that does fit with the moon card there, because that's, you know, there's kind of like a shadow element to that. So let's just see what else we've got here. In the centre of the reading there, we've got the Two of Wands. Just let you have a look at that there. Now, the Two of Wands is all about setting out, kind of on your journey, having the sort of world in your hands kind of thing. You've made a start with some projects, ideas, you've made some kind of forward motion with something. So with the Ace of Wands, which is like the one, you've kind of had an idea, some inspiration, and it's something that you want to take action with. So it's something that you want to do in the world. And this guy he's got two, so he might have to kind of make a choice between which one he's going to go with, but he's still kind of open to looking out for other prospects. It's all about prospecting. So it's looking out onto the horizon and thinking, right, where can I go with this? I've made a start with something, and I want to kind of step into something that's going to be really kind of fulfilling. So there's a choice, but there's also like kind of the world in his hands. So the world's his oyster kind of thing. So I don't know, next to the Seven of Swords, I think if there's a decision to be made, it's something that you're going to have to be really honest with yourself about. It's wanting to move forward with something, but wanting to move forward in the right direction. And you know, it's the head and the heart thing again, because this is all about your heart and your feels and your emotions and kind of feeling your way through a situation. And this is about kind of being strategic, strategizing, trying to think, you know, what's going to get you out on top kind of thing. And that can lead to kind of sort of shadowy elements, if you like. So not necessarily you in your best light, I suppose. She's got her light there, and I suppose it's a decision of what is going to show you in your best light as you move forward with whatever action it is you want to take towards whatever it is that you're wanting, as you go forward. Whatever your next best step is going to be. Is it going to be something that's coming from a really honest place, or is it going to be something that's kind of a little bit, I don't know, not in line with who you are, or who you want to be seen as. And the next card is the King of Cups. So this is the highest that you can get in the Suit of Cups, which is all about it's your feels, it's your emotions. So we've got two watery cards here because they're both watery cards. They're both about emotion. So the overall energy, and going forward, we've got the King of Cups. Now the King of Cups has completely mastered his emotions. Whatever's kind of going on around him here, whatever the turbulent waters are, he's still solid. He's on his throne. He's not going to have his feathers ruffled by whatever dramas are going on around him. So whenever you're making this decision of your next best step forward with the Two of Wands, you need to be feeling this energy. So you don't want to come from this energy, which is not being entirely honest with yourself, not having kind of pure intentions, not having pure motives for what it is that you're going to be proceeding with going forward. This is the energy that you need to be coming from. You need to be coming from, right, okay, you know, there is different possibilities here. I can take a few different options, a few different paths. I can go in this direction, that direction, or that direction. But I'm going to sort of know in my heart of hearts, because the King of Cups, he doesn't think he knows. He's completely in tune with himself on an emotional level. So it's about feeling that kind of self-love for yourself. So that this guy he's very much he's mastered self-love, he's mastered love of those around him. He's got to that position from coming from a place of love. He hasn't got to that position of feeling completely secure in his emotional sense from coming from a place of fear, because this guy he's only stealing swords and taking from others and not being entirely honest because it's coming from a place of fear. It always comes from a place of lack. So he feels the need to not be honest with himself or others because he's coming from a place of fear. He's coming from a place of not being okay with himself, not being okay with his kind of shadow side. Whereas this guy, he's moving forward. He's got to where he's got to because he's come from a place of love. So whatever your motives are in this card going forward when you're prospecting, you need to try and sort of be clear on what the motives are. And this is what this card, the overall energy, is about. It can be a time of not necessarily being clear, so you really have to go in and check in with yourself. What are your motives going forward? What is it that you're hoping to achieve? Why is it you're hoping to achieve it? What is it something very kind of surface level where you might get some initial gains, but they wouldn't give you that kind of real emotional security going forward, where you would be completely content with why you're doing what you're doing, the path that you're taking to get to where you're trying to get to. You need to be okay with where you're going and why you're going in that direction. You need to be clear about what it is you're hoping to achieve when you get there. And the chances are, whatever it is you're hoping to achieve will be some kind of emotional fulfillment. It'll be an emotional component. When you really dig deep and get to the bottom of what it is you're doing, it's never usually a material goal that you have. You might think it is, but if you look deeper into that material goal, you'll see that the thing that you're trying to achieve is because you're trying to achieve an emotional sense of balance and fulfillment and feeling secure. It all comes down to the emotions at the end of the day rather than the head, because the head, it can give you some temporary success and satisfaction, but at the end of the day, to be completely content and happy, you need that emotional fulfillment, and that's the bit that you have to consider going forward. So when you're prospecting about the direction and the choices that you're making, try and come back to what is it that I'm going to gain from this emotionally? What is the emotional component that I'm looking for? And consider that when you're making your choices going forward. Which the energies at the moment can be a bit tricky. So it's really about kind of feeling your way through rather than thinking your way through. So I'm just going to see what else we've got here and take an energy oracle card, and that's by Sandra Ann Taylor. I'm going to take one of those to see if we can get any more information or clarity on the message that we've got here. But to get to that place of emotional fulfillment where you're not going to be bothered by the little stuff, because you're going to be, completely okay with where you're at and happy with your lot, and positive relationships, which I guess it's what we all strive for at the end of the day. To get that, I think it's not a case of strategizing. It's not a case of trying to get ahead for kind of quick gains. It's more about the long game. Right. So, what else do we need to know about these energies? The new moon in Pisces. And the new moon is all about putting intentions out there. So you've got this guy, and he's deliberating and prospecting and wanting to think, right, okay, what's the next best step? So that's new moon energy, is when you kind of put your intentions out and write them down, say them, whatever. What is it that your goal is? What is it that you're aiming for? See if you can pin it down on an emotional level rather than a strategic level. So maybe when you're putting your intentions out, have more of an emphasis on a feeling, how it is you want to feel going forward. Oh, that's lovely. So we've got number 14 there, and it is care and connection. That's a beautiful card. So 14 in the tarot is, these are not tarot cards, but the numbers are significant, is temperance, and it's about integrating the masculine and the feminine. And I think we had that in my last reading as well, about kind of integrating your kind of action orientated side with your more softer receptive side. So obviously you've got a man and woman there who do look really sort of content, and she's looking intently at our little posier flowers there. So again, that's like looking at what you want to grow, what it is you want to blossom, in what way do you want to blossom. But it might be that there's somebody around who's kind of got your back, who's very much got hers there. So maybe that's where you need to be coming from when you're sort of contemplating and thinking about your next best step forward. It might be sort of more about the relationships around you rather than anything else. That might have more of a prominence in your decisions going forward. Who is it that stands by you? Who is it that's got your back? And that's a big consideration, I think, going forward, if there's decisions to be made. And there we go. The bottom of the deck there, we've got number 8. And in this deck, it's indecision. Now, she's a kind of, well, it's a junction, isn't it, more than a crossroads, and there's different signs, different ways to go, and it looks a little bit bleak, it has to say. She's in a red cloak there, so she needs to come from a place of courage. It's a passionate colour. It's about going forward with drive and vitality, but it's also a colour of courage, red. So she needs to be courageous in her decision, whatever decision she's making there, whatever direction she's going to take. She's got her head sort of covered, like a bit like the Hermit, like I was saying. It reminded me of the Hermit, this card, which is the 9th card in the tarot, 9th card, the mid-arcana. It reminds me of a Hermit because she's kind of cloaked and she's alone. And with that in mind, it's about really kind of going within and not making your decisions from a place of, quick gains, not head decisions. It's all about heart decisions. and thinking about who it is you're going to be taking along with you. Who is it that's you want to be by your side in whatever context. It doesn't have to be a romantic sense, it can be a family sense, business sense, whatever, but that's what's going to be important in this decision about moving forward. Who is it that you want to take with you? Who's by your side? Who's got your back? And that is some indecision, but it's number 8, which is all about strength and power. So she is in her strength, in her power with a red cloak. It's all about courage, but it's also, it's your base chakra as well. So that's about your security, having your very basic needs met and being very grounded. So whatever decision you make, you need to think about your own personal security and feeling, I guess, happy and content with your decision, but feeling safe. It's about a feeling of safety. And I don't know about you, but in that card, I think he's definitely sort of, the way he's got his arms around her, he's making her feel safe. So what makes you feel safe? What makes you feel kind of at home and content and, you know, able to move forward without fear? So that might be something to bear in mind when you're making decisions going forward. Right, I'm just going to take one more card, and this is the magical messages of the fairies. So these are by Doreen Virtue. Right, I'm just going to give them a shuffle and see what else we can get from this reading. So it's about moving forward with a clear conscience, knowing that the choices that you're making are going to fit with the people that care about you, your caring connections, the people that have got your back, the people that have supported you. And coming back to an emotional viewpoint rather than a intellectual viewpoint. So it's how you feel about a situation rather than what you think, not strategizing, feeling it out, coming from a place of love, keeping in mind the people that you love along the way in order to get to that emotional contentment. Right, so magical fairies, what else do we need to know? For the new moon in Pisces, what other messages do I have to bring clarity to this reading? What else do we need to know? There we go. We've had 2 cards have flipped over there, so we'll have a look at them both. Oh, we've got a new career and do some research. So this guy here, that's kind of what he's doing. He's contemplating, he's thinking, he's probably done his research. He's not just going to jump out and move forward with any one thing without, you know, good thought and decision making. So let's see what it says. New career. Your work focus is shifting in a positive, new and successful direction. Let's hold that up there. So for some of you, that might be really relevant. So there's something new on the horizon, which again is very fitting with the new moon, because it's like it is about prospecting and new starts, fresh starts. What is it that you want to see in your life going forward? And we've got do some research there. And it says you need more information about this situation. Look into it further before proceeding. And that makes me think of the Seven of Swords there, because that can be about kind of deceit and dishonesty. So whatever it is that you want to move forward with, whatever it is that you're passionate about, if it is a new career, it doesn't have to be, but obviously that card's come out, so for a lot of people that might be significant. Do your research, because you don't want to be getting sort of tripped up by things that are not quite as they seem, which is moon energy. We've got this, which is like your shadow stuff. So it's things that are illusions. It's Neptunian energy. It's things not quite being as they seem. Obviously, like I was saying before, at night things can look very different to what they do in the day. So I think that's where the doing your research comes in. So if there is something that you're stepping into which is brand new, do your research, and research with yourself as well. What is it you want to feel at the end of the day? What is the emotion that you want to gain from it? Are you doing it for the right reasons? What are your motives? And on the bottom of the deck there, oh, that's lovely for a new moon, affirmations. So when it's a new moon, it is about putting your intentions out there and what it is that you want to see in your life, in your world. And it is just like basic affirmations are just making a statement. So it's affirming something, it's just putting something, a thought out there into words, putting it into the real world. And that is the very start of something kind of coming to you and being made real, being made manifest. So on here it says, to lift up your thoughts and energy and to attract what you desire, use positive affirmations. So a lot of people believe in the power of affirmations and the power of just kind of affirming something over and over again, so that basically you might not necessarily believe what you're saying to begin with. So, you know, you might say, my career is very successful, money comes to me easily from many directions. You can say things like that and you might think, what the heck am I saying this for? You know what I mean? It's not really going to do anything. Don't really believe what I'm saying. But basically, your mind doesn't really know the difference between what's real and what's not. So if you're repeating and repeating and repeating something positive, and affirming it over and over again, it treats it as true. So although you might not necessarily in your headspace believe it at first, it's like I was saying in the last reading there, it's about believing it before you say it. And with affirmations, it's kind of like fake it till you make it kind of thing. So although you might not necessarily believe the things that you're putting out there, whether it just be in words or whether you want to do it on a vision board or whatever, so whatever the intentions are that you're putting out, you might not necessarily believe that they're going to be in your reality anytime soon, but the more that you repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, then it kind of draws it to you. Because like I was saying, like the universe is kind of magnetic, so whatever it is you're putting out there, verbally, thoughts, whatever, those are the things that you draw to you. So if you can say it and say it and say it, it's got more chance of kind of eventually coming to you. But it is about believing it before you say it. So even though you might feel like a bit of a fraud, it's still really worth doing. And getting your intentions down on paper gives it more substance as well, and more gravity. So that really kind of like imprints it in print, and gives it just more power. So anyway, that's a lovely way to end a new moon reading, because it is the time to put your affirmations out there. So to lift up your thoughts and energy and to attract what you desire, use positive affirmations. So whatever it is that you're putting out there, words, whether you're typing them, whether you're saying them, keep them positive, because it is the time when you're putting intentions out, and that's the time when they can start coming back to you as what you see in your sort of day to day. So I hope that makes sense. It might be to do with career for some of you, but remember, come from a place of love, not a place of fear and lack and strategy and trying to get ahead. Bear in mind the feeling that you want to achieve when you're going forward, and put that into your affirmations. I know when I've like done my vision board and stuff, I do have like places and stuff on there and stuff like that, but a lot of it is more sort of things like just quick phrases, quick sentences about how I want to feel going forward. So, you know, family stuff, relationship stuff, career stuff, but how you want to feel in that. So not necessarily hugely specific, just more about the feeling. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I shall speak to you soon.